Hey folks, welcome back to another quick video here. I'm going to try to do. Um, I haven't really changed anything since the last video. I've been thinking about what I want to do, and one thing I definitely want to do before I get any further is currently this is my vehicle pawn class, and obviously I have all of these. I have all this input, these input actions, this context, and I have all these methods that fire. Uh, when someone makes input, and I've got all this on my vehicle pawn class. Which, sorry, I'm still a little sick. So I did all this, because is the quickest way to sort of get up and running. I wanted to get up and running, but this isn't. I think the way I really want to do this, I would like to separate this input handling out into the player controller. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab, you know what, before I do that, I'm actually going to come down and make several functions here. We'll have a, let's do void set throttle float const float throttle set brake. Actually, let me just use the word value for all of these. And then we'll have set steering. And generate methods for all those. Wow, I'm missing my my generate. So effectively, these are just going to take over for the input. So we'll just do simple as that. Probably could have made these inline, since that's probably all that'll ever be in here, but okay. Not sure why IntelliSense didn't want to work there. Oh, it's because it's reloading. So we're going to get rid of all these methods, but I'm going to copy them. I'm going to copy those because they're going to end up going in the player controller. So let's go to the player controller. Actually, here, let's do this. And instead of setting the vehicle movement component, which obviously doesn't exist anymore, we're gonna actually we're gonna call those public functions on our. Oh, that's not what I want. Okay, so let's go back to Cobra Vehicle and let's grab all of these U properties and function definitions and move them. Add all my forward declarations that I'm missing. And we'll change this to input. Whoops. Okay. So now we're gonna need a pointer to the pawn. One second here. I'm gonna take a quick break and let my machine catch up for a second. Okay. Hopefully it'll behave a little bit better. It was just acting a little squirrely there for a second. So we're gonna override a couple of methods here. We're going to override the begin play. That's still behind. There, wants to catch up. And we're going to handle the on possessed as well. So anytime this controller possesses a pawn, which will happen automatically because of our settings, this method will fire. So generate code. Come on, so it's still not quite with it. And I'm going to steal the setup player input component right here. Actually, let's move this. Let's move this up here. And let's move these three here as well. And I'm going to steal the begin play need any of this nonsense since we know for sure the controller exists. Okay, let's see what we got. I need to add some more. So the setup input component actually works a little differently. Setup input component down here. Okay, so now we've got our input component set up. Nothing in on-possess yet. Let's go ahead and I need to make a pointer to hold the current vehicle. So we'll make a, not here, here. Okay, I've already done it. Okay. So in the player controller, we're going to do this. And we're going to call our functions on the vehicle. Okay. So now we're calling all our functions on the vehicle. I just need to make sure that there's a vehicle to control. So in the on possess, I need to player vehicle equals pawn, and I'm probably gonna have to cast that. Yeah. Yep, okay. So when our vehicle is possessed, we will store a pointer to it, and then when the input actions happen, we will call. What probably needs to happen is I probably need to add a little check, even though this should never not be set, but I guess you always want to be sure. So we go. So we've got our player controller, all of our code, we've got our vehicle, everything is set. Now if I did everything correctly, we don't need this anymore. See if, I don't think there's anything else to clean up. Just double check one more time. I'm going to go ahead and compile this and start up the editor, and if I did everything correctly, then we should notice absolutely no difference in the way this works. I'll go ahead and pause for a minute while we're waiting for that to finish. There's a slight difference in the way this is causing an error, and there's a difference in the way you attach this when it's on a player controller. So I'm just going to steal this code right from the vehicle template. So come on. Let me take a quick look at what this default mapping context is. Okay, I see what they're doing here. They have multiple contexts that they're adding. We don't need to deal with that. What did I call this? There we go. Let's give that a shot. Okay, so everything's compiled and we've launched in the editor. So there is one thing I need to do, which is now that my inputs are on my player controller, I need to come and set that up. So under input, we will do our context and our actions. We've got throttle, brake, and steering. And I'll come in here and make my world settings, make sure they're correct. Yes, they are. So let me hit the start button. Let's see what happens here. Everything should be exactly as it was. And it appears to be. Okay, perfect. So let me take a quick pause, see if there's anything else I want to do here real quick. I think what I'd like to do is, I've got this vehicle project open. I think I'd like to go ahead and put a quick little HUD down here in the right corner with the RPM, speed, and gear of the car, just so I can see what's going on with the physics model. And I'm looking at this vehicle template project I have, and there's several different ways to get information onto the UI, and this is one of them right here, where you create this widget. You inherit a class from widget, and you call some methods to update the information on the widget, and then you kick off these events, and then inside the blueprint you would hook these events up to actually displaying text on the screen. That's one way to do it. and I was looking at it to see what I thought of that. But I think I like the way I did this in my other projects better, which is you can actually create properties that bind directly to properties on the screen, on the HUD, the actual user controls, and see if I can show what that looks like. In a previous project, right, I had a progress bar and I was showing the current date time on a little HUD, and this bind widget property here basically forces me to create, when I create the blueprint from this class, it forces me to create this control that then I can hook up to in, like this, for instance, this set health method. All it does is update that progress bar. And I think I like this a little bit better. So I think this is the way I'm going to handle it in this new project. So what I'm going to do is first of all, I'm going to stop my editor, and I'm going to come in, and this is going to probably be a fairly temporary HUD. It's really just so I can sort of see what's happening. So I'm going to go ahead and make a new Unreal class, and we're going to inherit from user widget, and we'll call this vehicle HUD widget, and we'll put it in a folder. I don't want to stick the U on it. We'll put this in a folder called interface. And I'm going to create a couple of properties, sort of like I have here in this widget. I'm going to create a couple properties and a couple of methods. So we'll do uProperty meta equals bind widget equals true. And I need to wrap that in parens. And we'll do text blocks for these. So T object pointer and we're gonna do, let's see, RPM, we'll do vehicle RPM, speed, and gear. Add the forward declaration for that. And then we're going to make some public methods to set those. Whoops. Vehicle speed and there we go. So we got RPM, actually gears, an int. Really, this is probably an int too. I may have to change that later if that's not true, but we'll find out. So we're gonna generate code for these. do, 1 second. Let me grab my example here that I'm following. So we're going to do this. You know what? Let me change these to tack on what they are, because if I end up expanding on this later, this may come into play. What we got here? Number. There we go. Really, I guess these are all going to be the same. And now you'll see when I build this and create a blueprint from this class, I'll have no choice but to implement these text boxes, put them on the screen. So I'm going to go ahead and add, next thing I'm going to do before I go launching, I need to add this UI into the player controller. Actually, do I want it on the player controller? Do I want it on the player controller? I think that is where I want it. Okay, so on our player controller, we're gonna create a pointer to this widget. We'll put it right at the top here. What is that? That's vehicle HUD widget. And we need to forward declare. And then we need to, actually what we're going to do is we're also going to create a subclass to hold the type of class that our HUD belongs to, because it's actually going to be a blueprint. So it's going to be a T subclass of vehicle HUD widget. and this is going to be the vehicle HUD class. And let's put a U property on that. And then in our C++, then we're going to, using this HUD class, we're going to create an instance of the HUD and we're going to add it to the viewport. So I think we want to do this, yeah. So we're going to do this inside of the local player controller, right? Because you're only adding the UI if it's a local. We're not dealing with multiplayer yet, but we might as well go ahead and be careful about it. So we have vehicle HUD class and vehicle HUD. So we're going to do U mighty vehicle HUD widget. And we're going to create it from vehicle HUD class. What? Whoa, whoa, whoa. There we go. It does not like my subclass of pointer. Create widget, U vehicle HUD widget. Odd. I'll take a look at that in a minute. Let me go ahead and finish my train of thought. So if it was successfully created, then we add it to the viewport. So now, oh, well, now it's suddenly not a problem anymore. It's just interesting. Okay, so we're going to create the widget. I guess we should really check to see if the class is actually set. So if the class is set, and we will be setting it in the blueprint, in our player controller blueprint, then we create the widget, and if the widget successfully creates, we add it to the viewport. Nice and simple. Okay. Then one more piece of work here, which is in the tick, which I don't think I made a tick method in the player controller. I did not. Player vehicle. I can never remember what I name my own variables. If player vehicle and vehicle HUD. So if we have possessed upon and our HUD class is valid, our HUD is valid, we are going to call set vehicle speed, and we're going to call this player vehicle. Get player, get vehicle movement component. Where do I get the engine RPM from? I forget. I'll have to look it up. Let me pause and look that up 1 second. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to get it in miles per hour, I guess. Get the current gear. What's it called? Good grief, 1 minute. I thought for sure that would be correct. Every single place I look says that this is get engine rotation speed, but I don't see it, so for now I'm just going to leave that out. I'll figure that out later. Let me go ahead and compile this. We'll at least have the speed in the gear. The gear is the most thing I'm most interested in seeing, so I'm going to go ahead and compile that, and I'll pause while I wait for it to launch. And keep in mind, I'm still going to have to create the blueprint and actually lay out the UI. So we'll do that once the editor launches. So I have a ton of errors, unresolved external symbol. When you see this, what it almost certainly means is there's an include file somewhere that you don't have. So let me look. I'm thinking the unresolved external symbol is the user widget. I don't know where that's at. I'll have to look it up. No, not a missing header. Ha! It is a missing module in this case. The UMG module, I believe. I may not be right about that, but I think that I am. If I come look, this annoys me about the Unreal documentation. It used to have on every one of these classes, it would have the module that it belonged to, and maybe it moved and I'm just missing it, but I'm not seeing it. It used to be there, and you used to just be able to look and see what module it was. It was a piece of cake. I don't know where that information is now, but I'm pretty sure that UMG is what I'm missing, so I'm going to give that a shot again. Okay, so everything's compiled now. My project's loaded. I'm going to create a new folder in my app folder and call it interface. And we're going to create a new blueprint. And what did I call this again? Vehicle HUD widget. Whoops. Now, because we've inherited from our class that we created, you can see it's asking us to create the text blocks that are missing, that are set up with the bind widget. These three, because bind widget is here, it's expecting me to create these three things, so it won't let me compile without them. So let's create maybe I'm not a UI. I'm not even remotely good at UI, so actually let's just throw down these text blocks. We'll deal with styling it later. I don't know if Unreal has some awesome tools like most other UI designers have, where you can align things, and I'll have to look into that. But it doesn't really matter for now. We need 3 text blocks. We need vehicle RPM text block, which isn't going to have anything in it because I couldn't figure out how to get the RPM yet. Actually, we'll put that one. We'll just and we'll call this vehicle speed. Vehicle gear text block. And we'll put that right there. Save that. Now I should be able to compile this because I have those 3 boxes, and indeed I can. And I need to come into my player controller. And under my interface, I'm going to set the HUD class to that blueprint that I just created. I don't need to set the HUD because that's created in my begin play function. Let's fire this up. There we go. They work, except for RPM, obviously, which I'll have to figure out. I'll have to dive deeper into that, but that gives me my basic UI, and I'll style it a little bit, I guess. I'll always try anyway. I'm not, like I said, I am not a good UI designer, so I'll do something. I'll anchor it at least to the bottom right so that doesn't show up in the middle of the screen like that. Let's go ahead and do that actually real quick. Ah, so you can see it's anchored up there. Yeah. And we want it on the bottom right. There we go. Now it's anchored over there to the bottom right, no matter how big my screen gets. So, excellent. All right. I'll stop there for now. I really want to get the audio hooked up, I guess, next, but I need to find some decent sound files to use. For some reason, I thought the vehicle template actually included sound, but it does not. So I'm gonna have to go find some sound files to use and uh, set that all up. So I want to do some of the visual stuff too. It should be, car. It's got too much traction right now. I need to turn down the traction, but it should be laying down, like right there. It should have laid down some skid marks, and it should have made some smoke. Whoa. Oh, right. Still got a breakpoint set. Um, and I went to look for some texture maps to use for skid marks, and they all include tread, and obviously this would be uh, these tires would not have tread on them. They're racing slicks, so none of the texture maps that are freely available will work for me. So I guess I'll have to somehow create my own, which should be interesting because I'm terrible with paint programs as well. Anything to do with any kind of creative design, anything like that, I'm just absolutely terrible at. But I do want to get some skid marks and smoke, so I'll find a way to do that. Um, I may have to end up creating, as a matter of fact, I'll almost certainly have to end up creating my own wheel class. So currently, we've got these wheels um, right here, the rear wheel and the front wheel, and they just inherit inherit from Chaos Vehicle Wheel. Well, I may have to make my own vehicle wheel class and inherit. Um, so I may do that next time. We'll see. I'll see what I feel like doing next and what I can find out there for use as far as sound goes. I would really still love to find sound that really goes with this car, but I have a feeling that's going to be tough. So we'll see. Anyway, that's UI and our input reworked. The main reason for reworking that input is it'll probably make sense because at some point I'm going to have a AI controller potentially as well, and so the AI controller will just call those same three functions that I now have, and so both controllers will work effectively the same. And potentially, if I end up creating another vehicle class, because for whatever reason, if I need to create a vehicle that's completely different than the Chaos one, potentially if I want to try out other physics engines, I could create a new vehicle class that encapsulates those physics engines. In which case, all I would have to do is enter these three methods, and my controller would be capable of using it just like it's capable of using this vehicle. So it just, I think, makes sense to have that input logic separated out from my pawns. So that's basically some housekeeping taken care of and a little bit of UI. So I feel good about that. I'm going to stop there, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.